here, Swamiji. And this life that he talked about is the life that he's given all of us, a very blessed life in God. Um, well, from the beginning, I was always thinking, Swamiji, he's our link to Master. He's our connection. He's a guide. He's a divine friend. He's shown us the way, and he's willing to take us there to show us step by step how to get there. And this is how Swamiji's life was. It was a direct connection with Master. He was a direct disciple, and he brought to us Master. He wasn't the guru. He said Master's the guru. Master, of course, said God is the guru. I'm not the guru. But he brought us how to behave, how to have the right attitudes, what are the techniques, what are the teachings, how do I live my life in attunement with God, how do I learn how to serve, how can I, as he's saying there, how can I break the ego and get out of myself, how can I think of others, how can I live a divine life. This is what Swami Kriyanandaji came for. He had a particular ray of Master's blessings and grace, and he gave that ray to all of us, and still all of us who are open to those, all those who receive, he gave the power to become the sons of God. These were the words of about Jesus. But this is the life that Swamiji came to bring, and what a beautiful life that he gave. I remember at the beginning, I came to Ananda and I didn't know one thing from another. First words he said to me is, "This is your home." And I think he reached out to everyone who came there. And he said, "You should think about living here." And I was doubtful about it, but I felt his support. I felt his encouragement. You too can seek God. And that's what he always held before all of us. And I remember I was a Kriyaban. I didn't know anything about Kriya. I learned Kriya through another organization. I was barely doing it. I wasn't really energizing. I remember Swamiji looked at me one day and said, "Do you energize? Like, what's happening with you?" And I said, "No, sir. I didn't know the importance. I didn't know the importance of Kriya. I didn't know the importance of satsang. I didn't know the importance of seva, of getting out of myself." And that was the life Swamiji presented and what he presents. This whole life is a foundation. This is the foundation of our life of being here. That these are the things Master taught. This is how he trained us. And so, and Swamiji was always trying to get you to realize the heights that yes, you can be better. I remember one time, I told this story the other night, and it's a very touching story, but I'll tell you that it was a difficult period in my life, and I was in India, then I was going back to America, so I went back, and before I left, Swamiji blessed me, and he said, "You'll be fine, don't worry, you know." And I got there, and I was going through a difficult time, and some of my friends from here called me, and they said, "Oh, Diana, how are you doing? Is everything okay?" And I said, "Actually, it's not okay." I was very realistic about it. And so we talked for a while, and then, because I didn't know if I'm going to be in India, I'm going to be in America. And then they said, "Oh, Swamiji's just come in the room. Let me give him the phone." I said, "Don't give him the phone." But they did. And he was so encouraging. He asked me, "Now, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, you know, I didn't really know what to say." He said, "That's good." And then he said, "No, what are you doing there?" I said, "Oh, well, I'm reading your books." "What book?" Then I told him what book. "What did you like about the book?" He just kept that conversation going. And then, "Well, I like that part." "What about that part?" He stayed on the phone for several minutes. I think it was 10 or 15 minutes, just helping me, encouraging, supporting. What a divine friend. Who will stand next to you in your whole life and help you that way? And it was for all of us, and still you can feel his vibration. And he was always getting us to do different things that were new. I remember the chanting. Nobody knew what a harmonium was, and he had a tambura, he had a harmonium, he had all the various Indian instruments, and I remember he was telling us, learn how to chant, get into the harmonium. And he was writing chants, and he would write, okay, let's chant this chant. This is a new chant. Okay, let's chant that chant. There was so much enthusiasm. And I looked at the people, because I was new there, and I saw the kindness, the sincerity, the joy level, the energy level I had not seen anywhere with anybody else. This is the reflection of the life of Swami Kriyanandaji and what he offered and offers to people. And then we'd have fire ceremony, just sit on the ground. You know, there was nothing special about that life. Sit on the ground, and there was a fire. We didn't have a havan, it was a fire pit. And everybody sat around the circle, and Swamiji would do the mantras, and you didn't know one mantra from another, but he would teach you. This is what I loved. He would just teach you. And then we'd do the mantras and had kirtans, and he would be chanting, and then he was always writing books, and you know, and that high vibration of what he was writing. I mean, honestly, my soul knew it, but it was going over my head. But he just would lift you up. Here, read this. What do you think about this? Give me your feedback. What are your comments? How do you like this? On every book he wrote, he was having people to communicate with him. Now, why? Because we could grow. We were growing by reading what he wrote. He was always trying to share with you his vibrations, and not his vibrations, but Master's vibrations. And then there was the music, and he was writing music, I mean, for years. And okay, here's a song. Let you choir sing this song. And some people couldn't even sing, but he had you singing. Why? To lift you up. Everything he did was for you. It was nothing about him. And then he started communities. We went all over starting 8 different Ananda World Brotherhood communities all over. Why? So people could live with other devotees, so they could chant and meditate together. Why do we have centers? The same reason. Why are we online every day? The same reason, to share our Guru's vibrations and our Guru's teachings. This is what Swami Kriyanandaji brought, and he brought it to the whole world. And when he came to Master, many of you know the story, he went to that bookstore in New York, and he saw the book Autobiography of a Yogi, and he thought, oh, no, I'm not going to buy this. It's about an American saint. There's no American saint. You can see what he was thinking. And so then he walked off, and I think he said it was a couple of days later, he was in that same neighborhood, and then he felt an actual force turning him around to the direction of that bookstore. And he said he tried to go in another direction, he couldn't. So he goes there, he buys the book, he reads it cover to cover, he gets on the next bus, he goes across the country from the East Coast to West Coast of America to meet this master, Paramahansa Yogananda. And Swamiji had already decided in his own mind, okay, he's a monk, I'm gonna be a monk. Before he even meets Master, he's vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian now. Before he even meets Master, and he gets to him and he says, Master sees him when there was a man there, been there for 3 months. Somebody had come from Australia. Master didn't even see them. But Master said he would see him. And why? He said, Divine Mother told me to see you. That's the only reason I'm seeing you. Swamiji comes in, he kneels, and the first words he says, I want to be your disciple. How beautiful. He didn't say, what about me? What can you give me? He said, I want to be your disciple. And Master talked with him a bit, and then he blessed him at the heart. Swamiji said his whole arm was vibrating for 2 minutes. And Swamiji said, from that moment, my whole life changed. My whole life changed. He said when he was coming on that bus, coming over to the West Coast from the East Coast, he was thinking, I want to seek God. I want to know God. And I want to share. How many people have that in their minds? I want him for myself. He says, I want to share God with everyone. So Master didn't care how new he was, how inexperienced he was, how much he didn't know, how young he was. Master cared about, listen how beautiful this is, the bond that he had with him from other lives. And we have to realize these are deep spiritual bonds. We have that with Master. We have it with all our gurus. We have that bond with Swamiji, or we wouldn't have been drawn. He said the bond. And right off, he didn't care. Swamiji was 22 years old. He didn't care. He set him off within 8 months. He was lecturing on Master's behalf. He became, Master made him a minister. He got him in charge of the monks. He had him go out lecturing for him. He had him giving Kriya. He had only been there for 8 months. Remember the story from the New Path that Master sends, one of the monks comes to Swamiji's door and he says, oh, Walter, Master wants you to go in his stead and give the talk at one of the churches. I think it was maybe the San Diego church. And Swamiji was brand new. He didn't really think he knew anything. He said, what? I've never given a lecture in my life. And the monk then says, here's the money. And by the way, Master also wants you to give Kriya to someone there. He says, what? I only just got Kriya myself. But you see, this bond was so deep. So he says, yes, many of people would have run out the door and tried to hide. But he went and he did it. And from then on, Master kept giving him things to do. He had him editing. He said, your work, you have a great work to do. It's editing and writing and lecturing. And Swamiji said at a certain point, Master, I don't want to be a lecturer. I don't want to be a teacher. And Master said, doesn't matter. Path to God is martyrdom. And then he says, you better learn to like it because it's what you have to do. And then Swamiji did it. And he went many times lecturing all during his life, thousands and thousands of lectures. So during Master's life, he was helping him with his writings, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. He was helping him with the scriptures. He helped him with the Bhagavad Gita. That was all at the 29 poems. Then Swamiji asked Master, he said, haven't you written enough books? And Master said, don't say that. So much more is needed. And then Swamiji, after Master's passing, he writes 150 books. I mean, I don't know anybody else. How many people you know wrote that many books? 150 books. He wrote them on every topic. Master just flowed through him, success and abundance and education and meditation and material success and all kinds of topics. You can just imagine that Swamiji wrote on all those topics with the seed of what Master gave him. Then he started on the music, and he wrote music for the Italian culture. He wrote it for Romanian, he wrote it for Russian, he wrote it American, he wrote it for Indian, he spoke 8 languages. He wrote all kinds of music, 400 pieces of music. How many people do you know who put themselves out that much? And we were there when he was writing that music. He was in such a heart bhav. I was telling some people last night that he would sometimes come up, you know, in the hall where different ones of us were, and he was so much in the bhav of music. He would say, "No, are you an A or a B flat?" You know, meaning those notes, because his Divine Mother gave him sometimes 30 songs, melodies, and one day just came to him, flooding him. And he wrote music, he did books, then he did many different things. When we came to India, I remember it was like being a base camp. I mean, there were so many things going on. First of all, he started calling people as soon as he felt the guidance to come. Will you come with me? Will you come with me? Will you come with me? People had to pack up, some in 2 weeks to get over to India, some in a month, some in 2 months. But he was serious about it. I remember when I came here and I was between America and India, and I wrote to Swamiji and I said, do you want me to stay? Is it right for me to stay or go back? And I didn't hear from him. So then I finally saw him. I said, well, Swamiji, did you get my email? And he said, what email? So then I knew he hadn't read. I said, well, I was asking about, should I stay or should I go back to my seva in America? I was doing the seva of the Kriya Sangha, and for all of America. So then Swamiji looked at me and says, what do you mean? He says, look around. You're desperately needed. And And he said, you need to be here. And so I stayed, and many others stayed. At the beginning, there was 40 people with Swamiji. He had people racing around doing all kinds of things. He was writing. He was on television, on the Asta show, the different spiritual television programs. And he was doing those programs. He was doing like 10 a day to get them out every day for a long time. His whole life. How can I share my guru's teachings? Many of us, he would bless us and say, go out, go to Bangalore, go to Chennai, go to Hyderabad, go all around, go all around and tell people about Master's teachings. It was such a wonderful time. He spent the last 10 years of his life getting Master's work in India founded. This was the life of Swami Kriyananda, sharing, giving, helping. How can I do more? How can I help more people? And in the final analysis, I remember we were in Assisi and we were talking about Swamiji's life, and one of, I think it was his spiritual anniversary, and different ones of us were speaking. One spoke about the education system Swamiji came up with and developed. Another spoke about the meditation in Korea. Another spoke about communities and the books and the music and so forth. And so that Swamiji wasn't there. When he came that evening, he spoke, and he must have heard about what we talked about, because first thing he said was, it doesn't matter what I've done. I just don't care about that. I want to be a good disciple. That's all I care about. Whatever Master wants to do through me, however I can serve him, is fine. I want to be a good disciple. And to end, there was a very touching moment with Swamiji once. I wasn't there myself, but I heard from various people and on Swamiji's talks. Once he was about to leave America to go abroad, I think it was back to Italy, I'm not sure, somewhere in Europe to teach. And everybody was gathered at Ananda House in San Francisco. And Swamiji said, I mean, this is just how deep and how much he felt God in everybody. He said, I've been blessing all of you for all these years. Now tonight, as I'm about to leave for my journey, I want you all to come and bless me. And people were like, what? I didn't know what to do. But one by one, people came and they offered a blessing to Swamiji. And I realized from those stories that it has to go both ways. It can't just be, I'm taking. What he taught us, you give. As you give, you receive. The channel is blessed by what flows through it. And so sweetly, I remember he said one time, and that was here in India when I heard it. He said, when people touch my feet, I feel like they're blessing me. This is who he was. Master told Swamiji that in this life he would find God. He said, don't think about it, but the Master's words can't be falsified. And Swami Kriyanandaji came as an extension of his Guru's teachings, his Guru's life, his Guru's blessings, his Guru's vibrations, and a divine friend for all those who have been drawn to him. God bless you.